It has been a while since I've made a ride video, mostly because I've been back to work and I just have not been riding my bike as often as I want to. Now, Carl wasn't available today for this ride, but driving around the Smithville area with my new job really revealed to me a lot of great roads and hills that I want to ride. So today I'm going to start here in Niagara Falls, and I'm going to try to take some back roads, twisties, gravels, things like that, all through the hills of the Niagara Escarpment. It should be a pretty fun ride. Round trip's probably going to be somewhere around 150, maybe 175 kilometers. And you can see I stop up here, I think in Grimsby for fuel. And I come back around over to Smithville where I'm now working. Now, as the crow flies, it's only about 40 kilometers. But I've added quite a bit, and you can see it's about an hour and 20 minutes just one way on the route that I chose. I really start my ride getting on the Highway 420. And the Highway 420 bisects Niagara Falls east to west and really makes it easy for someone to cut across town without a lot of stoplights. It only takes me 2 or 3 minutes to get from my exchange right to the end of the 420, which ends here at Montrose Road. This apartment building right here is actually where my wife and I lived for 3 years when we first moved to Niagara Falls back in 1997. Continuing along, you make a couple lefts and rights through the suburban areas of Niagara Falls, and it's not too much longer that you reach the rural outscape of Niagara, and you really start to enjoy some of these backcountry roads that Niagara has to offer. It really is a nice place to ride a motorcycle. These roads around here are paved, they're nice and twisty, and they cut their way through some beautiful farm fields of soybeans and corn. And of course, you're going to end up looking at different golf courses as well as you travel through here. There's just some absolutely beautiful courses around the Niagara region. If you like to golf, you can come down here and do that as well. I just love riding around just the Niagara area in general. There's some beautiful things to see, such as the portions of Lake Gibson here, which I really like. As I traveled along, I came across this person on an electric bike on an 80 kilometer an hour road with no shoulder to speak of. Now, I owned a YSR 50 when I was young. These really weren't allowed onto a 80 kilometer an hour road, so I don't know how these people ride these things, but I don't know. I gotta just pay more attention to the road, because as I come around this corner here, the traffic comes to a full stop. Niagara Falls, and in turn the Niagara River, is the only natural waterway connecting Lake Erie with Lake Ontario, and as such did not allow ships to pass goods between them. The Welland Canal began as early as 1824, and it's now in its fourth design. It boasts 8 locks to raise ships 99 meters, or about 326 feet. This bridge is bridge number 11 in Allenburg. And in 2011, it was struck by a ship, and you can find footage on YouTube if you do a search, and it shows that the bridge is very well built. You can see here how ships can pass right under the bridge while it's raised. And it can be a really fun motorcycle ride following ships along the canal throughout the day. It takes about 11 hours for a ship to go from Lake Ontario to Lake Erie or vice versa. and you can see here how the bridge lowers as I continue my ride to the west. Once you're over the Allenburg Bridge, you can hop off of Highway 20 onto some of the back roads leading around Fonthill. This one in particular takes me past Merrittville Speedway. Now, Merrittville Speedway has weekly races during the summer months where you can go and watch these little sprint cars. It's an interesting place to go, and you can even go here and get some food at the concession stands when they're not racing and see some classic cars. The back roads that skirt around Fonthill are really some of the nicest within the Niagara region. There really is no doubt about that. They're old roads, and they twist and turn, and they split off into great hills like the one you're seeing here, all the while feeling like you're riding on a trail because the flora is so close to the roadway here. You can see, even though it's paved, the road surface isn't the best, and it's really well suited to an adventure bike like this, where the long travel suspension smooths the road out really well. The DR does well in these types of roads. They're very, very twisty. You can see here's a 180-degree turnaround, and it leads again into just some beautiful, remote, tranquil feeling roads that you just love. And it's not too much longer after that the road changes from pavement into gravel. Gravel is not the only thing that I wanted to ride while I was out near Smithville. I also wanted to ride some hills. And as you get closer to Lake Ontario, well, there's a bunch of side roads like this that travel up and down the Niagara Escarpment, around probably 150 to 200 feet elevation change depending on where you ride. And these are really, really fun. I went up and down between Ridge Road on the top and Highway 8 on the bottom. And if you think for a minute that these aren't very steep, well, I'd like you to keep your eye on this truck that's coming by here. I believe it's a grain truck that's heading up one of the hills that I'm going to ride, and I actually get in behind this guy. I quickly caught up to him, and I could see that he was dropping gear after gear trying to find the right one to go up this hill. I don't know if this driver's ever been up this hill before, but it wasn't long before I was right on their tail, and there's cars coming at you can't see, so I was kind of stuck. It got to the point where I actually came to a complete stop, and I was worried this guy was going to start rolling back, and I was looking, how am I going to get out of here with oncoming traffic and a wall right beside me? Luckily, he caught the right gear and was able to slowly crawl up the hill, and ultimately I found a little pocket that I could whip around him. But I'll tell you, these hills can be rather steep if you're not careful. As I headed home, I decided to take one of the more interesting roads around Fonthill, and Sulphur Springs Drive, I believe it's called. It's off of Effingham Street, which in on itself is a great road. It's super twisty and really popular with motorcycles. But this one makes a little bit of a jog here and takes you through the lowland valleys of the hills of Fonthill and follows some of the creek beds and whatnot. It has to be one of the most picturesque roads in Niagara altogether. It really is a great road. I've never crossed paths with another vehicle on this road. It's so remote. In fact, for a while, the creek had washed the road out and you couldn't even pass it. So maybe people don't realize that it's now open again and you can tour through here. Eventually, of course, it does hook up with some more mainstream paved roads. And before long, I was heading back to Niagara Falls. I had a really good time. I really hope you did too. And if you're ever in the Niagara region, try to look up some of these roads. I think you'll like them.